Ever wondered how a simple bag of flour and a flickering flame can build an empire? This is the story of the flour and the fire, a legacy that rose from the humblest of beginnings. It all started with a young baker named Elias, a man with nothing but a worn-out apron and a dream bigger than his tiny kitchen. Every morning, before the sun even thought about rising, Elias would be there, his hands covered in flour, his face lit by the warm glow of his old brick oven. He wasn't just baking bread. He was pouring his heart and soul into every single loaf. His secret wasn't some rare ingredient or a complicated technique. It was passion. Pure, unadulterated passion. The townspeople could taste it. They'd line up for his crusty, golden brown bread, and soon, his tiny bakery became the heart of the community. But Elias dreamed of more. He wanted his legacy to nourish people far beyond his small town. He taught his children the art of the fire and the magic of the flour, passing down not just recipes, but his unwavering commitment to quality and love. Generations came and went, each adding their own chapter to the story. They faced challenges, economic downturns, fierce competition, and a world that was constantly changing. But the fire in that original oven never went out. It became a symbol of their resilience. They innovated, expanded, and adapted, but they never forgot the core values Elias established. From a single loaf of bread to a global brand, the flour and the fire became a testament to how one person's passion can spark a legacy that warms the world for centuries. It reminds us that the greatest things often start small, with a little bit of flour, a little bit of fire, and a whole lot of heart. Thanks for watching our story. If you were inspired, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales of incredible legacies. See you next time. In the heart of the city, where cobblestones still whispered tales of old, stood the Ardin Bakery. For M.L. Ardin, it wasn't just a shop. It was his inheritance, his sanctuary, his entire world. Every day began long before the sun, in the quiet solitude of the pre-dawn hours. The gentle hum of the old oven was his morning symphony, the rhythmic kneading of dough his meditation. This routine, passed down through generations, was more than a job, it was a sacred ritual. Emal found a profound sense of purpose in the simple, honest work of a baker. He didn't just mix flour and water. He was a guardian of tradition, a custodian of his family's legacy. His ambition was a quiet but powerful one, to ensure the Ardin Bakery would still be warming the hearts and hands of the city 100 years from now. He cherished the weight of this responsibility. In the evenings, after the last crumb was swept and the doors were locked, he wouldn't turn to a screen for entertainment. Instead, he would lose himself in bookstones, on ancient grains, biographies of master bakers, and poetry that spoke of the earth's bounty. Each page was a tribute to his craft, a way to honor the lineage he was a part of. His life was a steady, comforting rhythm, a perfectly proofed loaf of contentment. He felt complete, his purpose as clear as a sunbeam on a clean countertop. He asked for nothing more because he believed he had everything he needed. But life, much like yeast, has a way of expanding in unexpected directions. One crisp spring morning, as the city slowly woke and sunlight painted the street in shades of gold, a girl walked past his window. It was a fleeting moment, a brief interruption in the familiar streetscape. Yet, for Emil, it was as if the world had suddenly tilted on its axis. Her presence was a note he had never heard in his daily symphony, a color he had never seen in his palette. In that single, silent instant, the steady, predictable world Emil had so carefully constructed began to tremble. His well-practiced routine, the very foundation of his life, suddenly felt fragile, and for the first time, incomplete. A new story was beginning to rise, and it smelled nothing like bread. Thanks for watching, And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. In the heart of a small, flower-dusted town lived a baker named Emil. His hands, usually steady and sure, kneaded life into dough, creating the most wondrous breads and pastries. He was a master of his craft, a man content with the simple rhythm of his life, the pre-dawn bake, the mid-morning rush, and the quiet afternoons. But that rhythm was about to be broken. One sunny afternoon, the bell above his shop door chimed, and in walked Dazil Carvel. It wasn't the first time he'd seen her, but today, the way the sunlight caught her hair, the easy grace in her smile as she ordered a simple loaf of rye, struck him like a bolt of lightning. From that moment on, Emil was a changed man. He found himself lost in a fog of her memory. He'd replay their brief exchange over and over, dissecting every word, every glance. Was that a flicker of interest in her eyes? Did her smile linger a moment too long? He began timing his trips to the market, hoping for a chance encounter. He even started baking a new kind of sweet roll, a delicate creation with honey and lavender, just on the off chance she might try it and love it. But this newfound obsession came at a cost. The nights, once his for peaceful rest, were now spent wide awake, his mind racing with images of Dazil. He'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining conversations they might have, futures they could share. Exhaustion began to creep into his days. His hands, once so precise, started to tremble. The dough, which used to yield to his touch, now felt stubborn and foreign. He'd forget ingredients, mismeasure flour, and burn entire batches of his famous sourdough. His customers, loyal for years, began to notice. The bread wasn't as airy, the croissants not as flaky. His work, his passion, was suffering. The very thing that defined him was crumbling, all because of a woman who barely knew his name. Emil was caught in a spiral, and he didn't know how to pull himself out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more. It started with small things. A batch of sourdough with a crust that was too thick, the inside too dense. A tray of morning rolls that came out unevenly risen, some pale and soft, others dark at the edges where the heat had been uneven because Emil had forgotten to rotate them. He caught these early enough to pull them before they made it to the front, tossing them into the charity pile with the shame of someone who knew exactly how good the standard should be. But the small things accumulated. Lyra, his most senior apprentice, a sharp, loyal woman of 25, who had worked in the bakery since she was 16, started watching him with a particular kind of careful attention. She didn't say anything at first. She covered for him twice when he miscounted orders, silently fixing the errors before customers noticed. She adjusted temperatures he had set wrong. She was his anchor while he drifted, and she knew it. And she watched him drift with the worried patience of someone who cared too much to look away. The night readings had stopped entirely. The borrowed books sat untouched in a stack beside his bed, their spines uncracked for the first time in years. Instead of absorbing business strategies and fermentation science and the histories of great trade families, Emil lay in the dark and thought about Dazil. The way her voice changed when she was amused, whether she had noticed him at all, whether there was any version of events in which she might. These were not useful thoughts. He knew they were not useful thoughts. He had them anyway, every night, with the helpless consistency of a leaky faucet. The city, for now, had not noticed. The bakery still opened. The bread was mostly good. The corner pile of charity loaves still appeared each evening. But Emil knew, in the precise, exacting way that someone raised with pride in a craft always knows, that the quality had dropped. The invisible standard that 3 generations of Arden had maintained without a single day of compromise was beginning to slip. Quietly, imperceptibly to everyone but him. And then one morning, something happened that pulled him out of the dream like a hand gripping the back of his collar. He arrived at the bakery at 4 to find Lyra already there, sitting outside on the step in the dark with an expression on her face that he had never seen before. Beside her was the recipe book, Merrin's original recipe book, open to the first page, where his grandfather had written, in careful, faded ink, a single sentence that Emil had read 1,000 times and somehow, recently, forgotten. The bread is not for you. The bread is for them. Remember this on the days when you forget everything else. He sat beside Lyra on the step and read the sentence 3 times. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Lyra had a gift for silence that communicated more precisely than most people's words. And what her silence communicated now was clear. I'm not going anywhere, but you need to come back. Emil held the book in both hands and felt, with a force that surprised him, the full weight of what he was holding. Not just the book, though the book was irreplaceable. Its pages a physical record of 3 lives and 3 generations of early mornings and careful hands and stubborn, generous love. He felt the weight of the 11 people whose livelihoods were tied to this building. The families who depended on those livelihoods. The poor who appeared each evening at the corner of the square with their quiet, dignified hunger. The city that had organized a piece of its identity around the warmth that came out of these chimneys before the sun was up. He had been so absorbed in the brightness of Dazil that he had let the ovens, metaphorically, cool. It was not, he realized, that his feelings were wrong. You cannot legislate the heart, and Dazil Carvel was, by any honest assessment, a remarkable person. But he had responded to those feelings the way someone responds to a fever, by going passive, by letting the heat of it burn through his days and nights without doing anything constructive with the energy. He had mistaken distraction for feeling. He had confused sleeplessness with depth. He went inside. He lit the ovens. He worked that morning with a focused, deliberate intensity that he hadn't felt in weeks, and the bread he pulled from the ovens at 7 o'clock was by anyone's measure the finest batch the bakery had produced in recent memory. Lyra tasted a crust and gave him a look that was as close to approval as she ever got. That evening, after the close, he walked to the square. Dazil was there, sitting with her aunt on the bench near the fountain. And when she saw him, flower still in his hair, apron still tied at his waist, she smiled in a way that was straightforward and warm and entirely free of games. They talked for an hour. It was easy in the way that real things are easy, unforced and honest and quietly significant. She knew about the bakery. She had been watching it for weeks, she admitted, with a kind of admiration that made something settle in Emil's chest. He walked home in the dark, feeling, for the first time in a long time, completely awake. In the heart of a small town, there was a bakery called Arden, a place where flour, water, and fire created magic. For generations, it was the soul of the community, its legacy baked into every golden loaf. But, as time went on, the old recipes started to feel a little tired. The town needed something new, a spark to reignite its spirit. That spark came in the form of Emil, the founder's great-grandson, who returned with a heart full of dreams and hands eager to knead dough. Emil didn't just want to bake bread. He wanted to share the craft. He proposed turning the bakery into an apprenticeship school, a place where young, passionate hands could learn the art of baking. His vision was bold, but it was exactly what Arden needed. Soon after, a woman named Dazil arrived. She was a whirlwind of organization and efficiency, her sharp mind a perfect complement to Emil's creative passion. With Dazil managing the logistics, the bakery began to transform. New recipes emerged, blending ancient traditions with modern flavors. The aroma of cardamom and orange zest mingled with the classic scent of wheat, drawing people from all over. The apprenticeship program flourished, filling the bakery with youthful energy and laughter. Arden wasn't just a shop anymore. It was a bustling hub of creativity and community. To celebrate their success, they hosted a grand town festival. Tables overflowed with artisanal breads, pastries, and cakes, each a testament to their journey. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the smiling faces, Emil raised a toast. He spoke of the simple power of bread to bring people together, to nourish both body and soul. The Arden Bakery had become more than a legacy. It was a living, breathing story of renewal, community, and the enduring belief that a single loaf of bread could change the world. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories.